Let the celebration begin.
Thank you, guys, but I get emotional.
NASCAR is headed to the Valley of the Sun, and we're getting you ready on Around the Track.
The weekend is jam-packed with racing action, and we'll give you a few drivers to lock into your fantasy team.
Oh yeah, baby! Let's go!
We're really confident. We're definitely internally motivated.
Could the Cup Series see a repeat winner? We've got the scoop on where to place your bets.
And the ARCA Series sees an exciting new driver.
And we've got all the spots you're going to want to hit if you're headed out west.
All of this and more on Around the Track next.
Welcome to Around the Track. We're happy to have you. I'm Kim Coon alongside Ryan Flores, tire changer for the number 12 Ford Mustang of Ryan Blaney. And the last time the Cup Series was at Phoenix, you guys took home the championship.
Yeah, but we didn't win the race, right? After 3 second-place finishes, we were ready to get back to Phoenix and try to win one of these things.
Well, we're taking you around the track, letting you know everything that's going to happen, whether you're headed out west or watching from home.
Yeah, and a full slate of racing out in the desert this weekend, so let's hear what some of the drivers have to say before we head to Phoenix Raceway.
Phoenix is probably the most unique racetrack we go to as far as the restarts, just being 5, 6, 7 wide sometimes.
Phoenix is definitely unique just with the two ends of the racetrack being completely different from each other. The cars are really violent through the dog leg, and it definitely tears up the race car a little bit using that.
Always enjoy going out there. It's an awesome part of the country and definitely one of those kind of can't miss races.
Here's a quick look at the highlights from Phoenix Raceway this weekend. Notably missing the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. They get the weekend off after 3 straight weekends of triple headers in NASCAR's National Series. I gotta say, some of those teams are gonna need the weekend off to try and play catch up to Spire. They have just ripped it since the green flag waved on the season, winning all 3 races, and Raja with the fan favorite win last weekend.
Yeah, Raja's joined us on Stacking Pennies this week, and he told us all about the weekend successes of Spire Motorsports, so go listen to that if you get a chance. And these other 3 series, though, they got a lot on their plate. You know, we'll be crowning a champion here next time we go.
That's right. So teams trying to fill their notebooks as we head to Phoenix.
Not the only place that has action this weekend. There is racing elsewhere. So let's take a look at what else is going on throughout the country. A double header in St. Pete for the IMSA Series. 2 races on Saturday. And the all-important car store. We've been talking about it a ton. The late model stocks fire off this weekend. What are you looking forward to most this weekend outside of Phoenix?
Well, talking about IMSA, you know, so much in NASCAR, we're talking about this youth movement, all these young drivers coming in. Well, the young drivers stole the headlines in the Rolex 24 on the IMSA side of things. And so what can they do this weekend? Will we see that continue? Yeah,
ton of competition there. And like we've been talking about, I'm harping on it. The car store, awesome series. Sea of Butter being queen, can go back-to-back with his championship, so they get to start defending that this weekend at Southern National Speedway.
And all that racing action culminates Sunday with the Cup Series. Here's more thoughts from the drivers.
I think it's a tricky place to get the balance of the car right. If you miss it by a little bit, you're just struggling all day. So I think it's just a really sensitive track to hit. Another thing that'll make it challenging is we'll be running that new package there, so we'll be kind of figuring it out as we go.
I think the track's starting to age a little bit to the point where the racing's getting a little better. I know PJ1's always yay, nay. Is it helping or hurting? I don't know what's left on the track or not, but we can't do much about that. We just work with what we were handed once we get out there.
So a lot going on in Phoenix this weekend. Not only a new diffuser, not only a new tire, not only a different format, but there's just a ton of different things going on this weekend. Not to mention giving out a championship trophy the next time we come. What are we going to see this weekend from these teams?
Well, I think you're going to see some happy crew chiefs because they get 50 minutes of practice they don't usually get on the weekend, so that's going to help them build their notebook, figure out what's going to work for the car. That new tire you mentioned, that'll give them the opportunity to see how much fall off there really is.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, we're going to get into it later on in the show, but a new diffuser as well, so a lot to look forward to this weekend in Phoenix.
Yeah, let's look at the Cup schedule for the weekend. Again, we mentioned that 50-minute practice session. That's on Friday. And again, Ryan talked about it. The championship race is held at the end of the year, so maybe some time for crew chiefs to make some early notes on what it's going to take to hoist the big trophy at the end of 2024. But the first task is to get to victory lane this weekend. Here's a look at the past drivers who found winner's circle.
This is where the championship will be won or lost in November. Martin Truex Jr. cruising to his 28th career win in the NASCAR Cup Series. Truex wins Phoenix. Chase Briscoe becomes the 200th winner in the history of the NASCAR Cup Series. And for the second week in a row, William Byron comes off turn 4. Checkered flag, Byron.
Drop pit crew. Heck yeah. Woo. Awesome job.
Now's the time of the show where we help you win some cold, hard cash. It is Easy Money with E. We'll welcome in resident sports betting analyst Erica Davis. She's going to give us a preview of Phoenix. But before that, how are you feeling about your Vegas picks?
Kim, I feel really good about my Vegas picks because last week I said Truex over Logano in the head-to-head. And as we know, Truex finished 7th, Logano finished 9th. So you're welcome for that. Easy money with E. But moving into this week for Phoenix, I want everyone to know we are in the era of predictability. So everything that you remember about the super speedways from the first and second week, just forget about it. Put it on the back burner of your mind because now it's all about predictability from a racing perspective and from a betting perspective.
Okay, predictability. Should we predict a Chevy in victory lane? Because they have absolutely dominated this season in the Cup Series, winning the first 3 races.
Yeah, Kim, the theme of this season so far has been Chevy, Chevy, Chevy. And when you look at the odds for the winning manufacturer, which is my first spot that I want to talk about, same thing as last week. Chevy has the shortest odds. Toyota is sandwiched in between, and then Ford has the longest at plus 270. When you take a quick glimpse back at the last few races here, you see Ross Chastain won, and so did William Byron, both in Chevys last year. And then in 2022, Ford won both of those races, but Chevy wasn't too far behind. Chevys have swept the season this year. So I'm riding with Chevy here. However, for you bettors out there, if you wanted to put a little bit of your bankroll on Ford at plus 270, I would not be mad at that.
All right, so we've decided on manufacturers to put our money on. What about drivers?
So, I love top 3, top 5, and top 10 odds. Right now at the sports books, what we have to work with is top 3 drivers' odds. I want to ask you, though, Kim, before I give you my picks, which couple of drivers would you predict would finish in the top 3?
Okay. Maybe I'm silly for not picking a Chevy driver, but I think I'm going to go Ryan Blaney because he's finished runner-up the last 3 races at Phoenix. And then I'm going to maybe pick a little bit of a wild card, Ty Gibbs. He has the second best average finish this season so far, so I think he might surprise some people this weekend at Phoenix.
Okay, Kim, not silly at all. However, you and I we're on different wavelengths this week. It's okay, different ends of the spectrum. My 4 drivers who I like to finish in the top 3 are Larson at plus 225, Chase Elliott at plus 500, Bowman at plus 800, and then Austin Dillon at plus 2,000. Now, obviously, all 4 of them can't finish in the top 3. Those are just odds that I like. But I really want to focus on Chase Elliott and on Austin Dillon. Starting with our guy, Chase, Kim. He hasn't had the worst start to the season, but it has not been the best. And I think that Chase Elliott fans and Chase Elliott bettors, if there's still some who are backing him, are probably giving him the side eye because his teammates have gotten into victory lane and he has not yet. So why do I even like him at plus 500? Well, a $10 bet wins you a total of $60 if he ends up wowing us this week and getting in the top 3. So there's that. And then in the last 7 races at Phoenix, Elliott has led almost 400 laps with 1 win. So that's why I'm putting a couple of dollars or $10 rather on Chase Elliott at plus 500. And if for nothing else, Kim, he has the pressure because his teammates have already won this year and he has not. And what do they say? Pressure makes diamonds. So Chase Elliott at plus 500. And then there's Austin Dillon. Now, Austin Dillon's at plus 2,000. He is my longer shot compared to Larson and Elliott and Bowman. But when you look at the actual entirety of the betting board, he's right there in the middle of the pack. So I like him over an Eric Jones or over a McDowell at plus 2,000. First of all, because $10 bet there wins you a total of $210. But, I like him because he's in a Chevy, and we've already pointed out ad nauseum that Chevy is having a dominant year, and they're dominant at this track. And then he's finished in the top 15 in 3 of the last 5 races here out in the desert. So Austin Dillon plus 2,000, not a bad spot for this weekend.
Okay, let's talk outright picks. Since we've talked so much about Chevy and Chevy drivers, should the outright pick for this weekend be a Chevrolet driver?
Well, Kim, now is the time that I'm going to give you my very bold prediction for the desert this weekend. And my very bold prediction is that Kyle Larson wins in back-to-back weekends. What's that Drake song? Is it back-to-back? So that's going to be Larson this weekend. He's at plus 700 to win outright. He tested this short track package at Phoenix back in December. And he's actually one of only 6 active drivers to do so. And last year, he led 201 laps at this track. Again, we've said it a million times. I'm going to say it 1,000,001. Chevy dominance. Chevy has swept this season so far. But guys, if you want to spread your money around a little bit and you're not feeling Larson, you could always throw a little bit on Hamlin at plus 1,000 or Kyle Busch at plus 1,200 because both of them have actually won at this track as well.
Awesome. I love it. Erica, thank you so much. We'll see you next week. And like Erica mentioned, it is a new short track package this weekend at Phoenix that resulted from a test back in December. So if drivers are going to find their way to victory lane, they have to figure it out. And to walk you through the newest changes to the short track package, here's Steve Letarte from NASCAR Inside the Race.
When you watch racing in NASCAR in 2023 at the short tracks and at the road courses, this was the rear floor and the diffuser of the race car. This is the size, this is how many vertical fences or strakes that they had. In 2024, that panel underneath the back shrinks dramatically. This piece is aluminum, it's a test piece, but you see just how much smaller it is, how much shorter it is, and the width of the vertical fencing. If I put these two parts side by side, you see just the difference in size. That size and the width reduces rear downforce dramatically, but most importantly, it allows the drivers to slide the back of the car with a little bit more maneuverability. Because rear downforce went away, NASCAR actually had to add a little bit more spoiler back. You'll be able to see this. It's not a whole lot, an inch taller and an inch wider on either side. So overall, all of this together, the same amount of downforce, but with a much different feel. The drivers who tested it said that they could slide the back of the car around, hopefully adding maneuverability, widening out the racetrack, and most importantly, setting up passes at the short tracks.
Some great insight from Steve Letarte on the changes we're seeing with this short track package. The diffuser, simplified, it's going to change the downforce. Another thing we're seeing change, the tire, it's softer. So what does that mean for the teams and pit crews?
Yeah, softer tire, as Steve alluded to, sliding around more. That only makes me think of one thing, more tire degradation. So that means I'm going to have to do a couple more pit stops. So I'm going to definitely lace the pit shoes tight this weekend and probably have to earn my money.
Ooh, you're going to be earning your money. So are the drivers. Another challenge to Phoenix is the dog leg. Here's drivers' thoughts.
The restarts can be pretty challenging with the dog leg and 4 or 5 wide, and trying to figure out how much of the excess track you can use down there on the flat and the apron, and dust and dirt that gets down there. And
it is painful going down through there. It is hard on equipment. Man, it's just that balance of, we can't do it in practice because it tears stuff up. You have to do it in qualifying because there's a certain amount of speed by cutting 100 feet out of a racetrack, but that tears stuff up that ultimately hurts you for the race. It's just an ugly balance.
so you can be aggressive and you try unique lines and unique things, but there's also a high risk doing all that. So it's fun to actually have a bunch of options, but it is a challenge. Those restarts can be really crazy.
Kim, as those guys alluded to, the restarts are just completely crazy. Not only that, you can build runs, different ways to pass. What are you looking forward to seeing out of the dog leg this weekend?
I always hold my breath because it's like 5-6 cars wide. When we talk about the dog leg and how wide it gets, though, I'm looking to the aggressive drivers, the guys that are willing to put their car where others aren't. So Joey Logano, Ross Chastain are in my list of guys that are able to do that.
Yeah, Chris Buescher didn't sound too excited about how rough it was on equipment, but speaking of being aggressive, not only do you have to be aggressive through the dog leg, you have to be aggressive on pit road as well here.
Yeah, and this is one of the longest pit roads on the circuit, and a lot of the stalls are in a curve. Drivers, we've seen them speeding. Last March, 10 speeding penalties alone in the Cup race.
Yeah, so they were a little too aggressive, I guess, on pit road. But the money stop, this is, I think the most notable money stop in NASCAR history, at least recently, was Kyle Larson when he won the championship in, what was it, 2020? Yeah, 2021. And then last year again, comes this pit road is going to, one way or the other, decide the championship when we come back here in the fall.
Well, the Cup Series drivers aren't the only ones challenged this weekend. The Xfinity Series also running at Phoenix Raceway, and one standout at Phoenix in the series is Sammy Smith.
It is a day in the desert he will never forget. Sammy Smith has scored the victory, his first career win.
Got a new Xfinity Series winner here, boys. Pretty good job, Sammy Smith. Let's go. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
A tricky place to be, and you didn't let the pressure get to him. Nothing like your first win.
Awesome job today, bud. You're the man. That was great. It's going to be a fun year, bud.
So the Iowa native has had 3 starts here at Phoenix, and all of them super impressive. He started on the front row twice, top 10s in all 3 races, and he's led laps every time he's been here to Phoenix in an Xfinity car. But he's with a new team this time. Yeah. Does he replicate that success?
I think this is going to be the test of his future at Junior Motorsports. All those stats you mentioned, the top 10s in all 3 starts at Phoenix, that win, he got his first series win this race last year. That was all for JGR. We know how strong Gibbs is at Phoenix in the Xfinity Series. So for me, this is going to be telling on what his trajectory is at Junior Motorsports. he's had I'll call it decent, maybe even mediocre start to the season. So I think this for me is going to be really telling on what Sammy can do over at JRM.
Yeah, Sammy knows how to win, especially at Phoenix with an ARCA win there as well. But I look at some of his late model stats when I was looking him up, the Florida Governor's Cup, the Winchester 400, the Redbud 400, a ton of success in everything he's driven. And another person who's had a ton of success making their ARCA debut this weekend, Isabella Robusto.
Isabella making her ARCA debut this weekend with Venturini Motorsports, only 19 years old, so much potential. She races everything from stock cars to late models to sports cars. She's trying to get kind of a big resume built up before she takes on the big series.
Yeah, I was able to watch her at the World Series of Asphalt this year at New Smyrna. Super impressive, and she's one of two of the toughest short tracks in the South, Hickory and Tri-County, so definitely excited to see what she can do on the national level.
Yeah, and TRD is backing her, so we know the potential is there. Not only that, she is balancing all of this racing with a full-time student career. She's majoring in aerospace engineering.
Golly, so that means she's way smarter than me and a better driver. But yeah, there is a reason that Toyota has kept her in their driver program. She's coming back after a concussion. She was out of the seat for most of the year last year, so I'm sure she's eager and ready to go, and I'm excited to see what she can do in Phoenix this weekend.
Yeah, we'll see her on Friday night in the ARCA race, and that kicks things off for the weekend action at Phoenix Raceway.
NASCAR is coming to Phoenix, and it's going to be a weekend of good vibes the whole family won't forget. The best-in-class fan experience meets racing's toughest drivers for 3 days of action on and off the track, all surrounded by the beautiful Estrella Mountains.
Phoenix Raceway has so much to offer this weekend. Whether you're camping or just hanging out in the grandstands, what are you looking forward to most as we head to the desert?
Well, I am headed to Phoenix this weekend, so I am traveling to the racetrack, and I'll be there on Sunday as part of Women's History Month. They're having a panel of women in motorsports, so I'll be on that panel. Monica Palumbo's emceeing. That's going to be 9:50 a.m. local if you are out at Phoenix, and it'll be like in the infield, kind of adjacent to Victory Lane. So very cool. That's Sunday, though. The party's all weekend long at Phoenix.
The party is all weekend long, and I can't help but notice Viva La Fiesta. I mean, have you seen what is on this list? Musical performances, classic lowriders, lucha libre, and a Q&A with the amigo himself, Daniel Suarez.
Recent winner.
Yeah, is that not enough for you? How about a Walmart in the Geico Gecko campgrounds? We got the pedal party, which I love each and every week on Thursday. And if you want to hear about it, you can look up the Cactus Chronicles at phoenixraceway.com to hear each and everything that's going on this weekend.
Definitely worth the trip out to the desert if you've never been. All right, it's time for the white flag, and this week we're giving you our race picks. We did a good job last week. We said you had to have Kyle Larson on your bill, and he ended up winning the race. So who's your pick for Phoenix Raceway?
My pick, I hate to do this.
Oh gosh, are you going to steal mine?
But
I
have
like
to,
it's going in that
I don't
direction.
know, but I have to go with the home team, the 12 car. We have finished second in the last 3 races. We are itching to get the victory lane, and Penske notably usually fires off really well with a new package. So I think anything less than a win in the desert, we're going to be on that long flight home pretty dejected.
All right, well, my head was telling me to pick a Chevrolet because they've dominated this season so far, but I had looked up, the most recent stats at Phoenix Raceway. I have to agree with you, Ryan. Blaney, it is his race to lose. Like you mentioned, runner-up in the last 3 races at Phoenix, and the last 2 weeks he's had podium finishes. And so I think if he can't get it done this weekend, it's going to be a huge disappointment.
I agree. I agree. Well, Kim, it's that time of the week again. We get to add to our nugget tray, and this week, the nugs are for you.
Oh, for me. Oh, gosh, What do you have?
Phoenix Raceway held the first ever points-paying event for the Super Truck Series, Craftsman Trucks now.
Okay.
Who won that race?
Oh, gosh. This was the 90s?
Mm-hmm.
I want to say Crafton. Was Crafton racing in the 90s? But I'm not going to.
He's old. I don't know if he's that old.
I feel like you can't go wrong choosing Ron Hornaday Jr. because he's won so many things in the Truck Series.
Close. Ron Hornaday got the pole, but it was the gunslinger himself, Mike Skinner, so pretty good. And I also, from our other nuggets, I saw Justin and Haley walking down pit road, and I realized from our nugget section, I will never forget her name.
I love it. Haley.
Yeah, so keep up with all the nuggets here around the track each and every week.
We'll see you next week as we preview Bristol.